we now have, who joined us, Oded Rביבי, the mayor of Efrat.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. It's been a long day.
Yep.
I happened to see you a few hours ago at the same voting booth
Right.
in Efrat. So what's your take, Oded, on what's going on here today in Israel?
I think I don't envy Prime Minister Netanyahu. If we look at the polls and if they are accurate, and if you split Likud and Israel Beiteinu, you have between 4 to 5 parties, each having between 15 to 20 members of Knesset, to try and form a coalition with that, and to try and manage a government that will be a sustainable government that will be able to make the decisions that we need to do, looks like a very difficult task that he's heading.
You haven't changed your minds in the last few hours. This is what you said to me in line as well.
This is what I've been saying
So
the
you
last few
think we're
weeks.
going to new elections soon then? You think this will be an unstable government, whatever is formed?
That is yet to be seen because we have 60 new players, more or less.
Half the Knesset or?
60 new members of Knesset,
Wow, amazing.
which we don't know yet how they're going to behave. Even Naftali Bennett's list, which we know has a big variety of different people
Right.
with different views, how will they sit around the table that a decision has been made? How are they going to act? Whether there's going to be a disciplinary voting within parties? What's the goal that each party is going to take? All these are questions that we are yet to see as to how these new members of Knesset are going to act.
Well, if they don't all agree, then they shows that they're really typical members of Knesset, because that's usually how it works in the Knesset.
No, I have to disagree because at the end of the day, what we were used to at least, most of the parties made a decision and went according to that party. Yes, there are examples.
Party discipline, you mean.
Right. The Labour Party split up when they saw that it's not working anymore. But whilst there was one party, there was a united vote. There was some sort of understanding as to what the rules are. Here, there's such a big variety in all the different parties, with all these new members of Knesset who came under a specific agenda, under a specific goal, to get the Haredim into the army, to have a free housing or more affordable housing, all sorts of different topics which took headlines within the elections, which when the questions are broader or on other issues which those specific parties didn't tackle, it will be interesting to see how the variety of opinions will reflect on the voting.
Well, as the mayor of Efrat, I imagine you have a particular concern. You're not the mayor of Petach Tikva. So what would you like to see happening here?
It's true that I'm the mayor of Efrat. It's true that I'm a citizen of Israel. I think tonight our concerns need to be for the state of Israel. That's what I try to project to my citizens. That's what other mayors in Yehuda v'Shomron were trying to project to the general public. And we have to wait and see what the results will be and how the coalition will be formed. I think at the end of the day, what we do see in these very early analysis of results is the fact that basically we all are aware of the fact that the Likud took a right turning. At the end of the day, the list was more right, was more for Eretz Israel, and I think the price that was paid was basically votes which were lost for Yair Lapid, votes which were lost even for the Labour Party, and that's something that I'm sure that within the Likud at least, they will do some sort of thinking as to where they want to locate themselves in order to prepare themselves to the next elections.
We did see a 10-month building freeze under the Likud government this past term. With the fact that Lapid's party now has 19 seats and is a likely partner in the coalition, as the mayor of Efrat, are you now more afraid of the fact that potentially our Prime Minister Netanyahu has forces pressuring him to do something similar, to carry out another hakpah or building freeze?
Lapid, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the big question marks. I'm completely puzzled as to how he managed to convince so many people to go and vote for him. I did not hear, I'm not saying that is a joke.
We agree with you.
I did not hear straight answers about very crucial issues.
Right.
Yes, he had a few points which are of deep concern for a lot of citizens of Israel. How much it costs to live here, the price of housing, and what's going to be the issue of the Haredim in this country. But besides that, there are a lot of very wide variety of questions. The issue of negotiations and peace negotiations, he said, I want the next government to go into some sort of process. He did not elaborate as to what his expectations are. Yes, when he comes to the negotiation table with 19 members of Knesset, He's got a very strong hold over Benjamin Netanyahu, which is something which I wouldn't say is worrying, but it's something which I don't know yet as to how to analyze that. There are voters from the right side of the map that voted for him and predict that he will go with Netanyahu. They said Yair Lapid will sit in any government, and if he goes, then we at least vote as if we're voting in two votes. We're having Yair Lapid who will look after our class, but he'll also be with Netanyahu. And on the other hand, he also joined the bloc of the left-wing parties. And I don't think he will want to sacrifice himself as being Netanyahu's partner, and by that lose his lead at the moment in the left-wing parties.
Just
please,
2 points,
Moshe.
though. I think when you said that it was confusing as to how people voted for Yair Lapid, it really isn't confusing. If we watch what happens in the general elections in America, you see a president getting in, asking people to vote for change without describing what that change will be. And people fall in love with the possibility of change without really trying to sort out what that is.
No, I completely agree. I also have answers. At the end of the day, Lapid's votes are what happened before to Kadima, and what happened the elections before to the Old Age Party, and what happened before to Aderech HaShlishit.
Third way.
We've got plenty of examples. Every election there's this new party that comes and is going
A
to solve
centrist
all.
par- and a centrist
central
party.
party that doesn't say anything about the issues which are on stack, says only answers about things which trouble the people, and then unfortunately the following elections they just disappear or shrink, and it takes them one election or two elections until they're not relevant anymore. And I guess this is what we're seeing at the moment.
But there's also something else. I think that I just wanted to
Please.
focus back in the macro. In the macro, we have seen a dramatic change. It would be fascinating to hear how Mayor Vefrat sees it. We just heard Bennett speak. And for so long, our religious Zionist community were trying to be a bridge between the religious and the secular. And in trying to be a bridge, we washed ourselves down. We washed ourselves down to be sort of this putty that can be fit into anybody's hand. B'yad ha'yotzel. I think for the first time, we're not hearing somebody talking about being a bridge, but being the destination. We're hearing a party that is proud to say, this is what we stand for. We stand for an Israel that is proud to be Israel. That's a breath of fresh air in the political system.
You're talking about
I'm talking about Bennett. I'm talking about
Bennett,
Bennett.
by Yehudi.
Eve knows that I disagree with you. I think Bennett is saying that he wants to be a bridge between the religious and the secular residents of this country. He speaks very nicely. He's very convincing. Prime Minister Netanyahu brings not less pride to the residents of the State of Israel. I have an explanation why he got so many votes, but again, at the end of the day, the battle wasn't within the right-wing part of the political map, and we see that at the end of the day, votes went to the left side, and I don't think it's because people have changed their political views, but rather because people were afraid of being affiliated with such right-wing parties, or they wanted to be with the new parties which offered something trendy and new.
And I disagree with that in the sense of, with full apologies, I do believe we're seeing something new. I know that it's a slogan that Bennett used, but we are seeing something new. Netanyahu speaks well about pride, about vision, about standing up for what we consider to be the destination of the state. The destination of the state of Israel is a state that believes in the God of Israel, the land of Israel, and Torah Israel, and that's a big enough house to incorporate all people, even though those that are called with a kippah shkufa, with a transparent kippah. And I believe that that is a phenomenon that will just keep growing, and Netanyahu is going to have to incorporate that into his government, or else he will find himself being hammered down even more in the next election.
Well, we'll meet at the next election frame on that issue.
A question for Oded before we end this section. Do you think there's a chance here of Likud and Israel Beitenu breaking apart? They came together specifically, somewhere around 30 seats together. Is that a possibility?
I don't know exactly as to what the agreement between Netanyahu and Lieberman is. I presume that the bad result will probably strengthen the tie between them.
Strengthen it.
And will make it last for longer. But
Because without Lieberman's party, the
it's a
Likud
20 members party.
has the same as Yair
That's what I
Lapid.
started off with,
Yeah.
and that's where we are.
So this is a disappointment tonight then, overall.
Okay.
I don't think it's a disappointment. I think there's one
We're-
big winner.
Excuse me, we're going on live to Shelley Yachimovich of the Labor Party.